My name is Lauren, and I am gene positive for a rare brain disease called Huntington's disease. I have known about Huntington's disease being in my family since I was 15 years old. My grandfather was diagnosed when I was 15 years old. Had no clue what it was. I thought he was just a mean, drunk old man. And I really hated that he lived in my house and was stumbling everywhere. He would smoke in the house when he was told not to. He just had really big problems with speech. We dealt with a lot of issues. But when he received his diagnosis when I was 15 years old, it changed everything for me. And I started researching what Huntington's disease is. And I found out that, it was a rare neurologic disease, and that he was not meaning to be this way. He probably didn't even realize it himself. I also found out that my dad and his sisters were at a 50-50 chance of getting this disease because it's genetic. So they had a 50% chance of getting Huntington's. My dad and his younger sister decided to start taking part in research in a study called Pharos HD, which really ignited my interest in research, just because they got involved, and I thought that was so cool. We found out that Dad was starting to show symptoms, and that was very tough to deal with. When I was 20 years old, after moving to Connecticut with my husband, I decided that I wanted to undergo genetic testing, and I tested positive for Huntington's disease. Here I'm sitting in the genetic counselor's office. I've just been told that I've tested positive for Huntington's and that I will most certainly develop HD. This thing that she told me was a death sentence. Knowing there's no cure, knowing there's nothing for me. She asks me, "What do you feel?" And I remember saying, while I feel, obviously you feel the sadness of it being a reality, I also said I feel relief because I know it's no longer this secret. It is, okay, this is a thing. This is what my future holds. Now I can stare it down and figure stuff out. And that's really how I felt, was this sense of relief of, I have something to look at that I know, and now I can work on solutions. Now I can work on coming up with a plan. That's how I felt that day. I will tell you, for the next year afterwards, it was an absolute roller coaster of emotions. Now looking back, I know what that is, right? It's called anticipatory grief, where you literally go through this grieving process for yourself of what your future could have been, what your future is going to be, the loss of all of it, right? There's just so much grief involved. And so that roller coaster of emotions that I was going through, the anger, the sadness, the determination, acceptance, are all stages of grief. And it was called anticipatory grief. But at the time, I did not know that. I just knew that I was on a roller coaster of emotions that I did not know how to handle. And everybody who I talked to was just going, "I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry." And I felt lost. I felt like, God, now I'm a burden to my husband. I'm a burden to my family. And all anybody can say is, I'm so sorry. And all the doctors can say is, well, it's a death sentence. There's nothing for you. And it really got to me. And I found this woman in Connecticut who was not far from me, who ran a yoga studio. Her name is Laura. And I remember the first time I met her, she looked at me. She said, "If no one else has told you, let me be the first to tell you that you are going to be okay." And I was like, oh my God, it's such a different response than I've gotten from anybody, and I was like, oh, wow, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And she said, you're going to be okay. What's amazing about her is Laura has HD, and she focused on health. She did yoga, and really we talked about stress, and we talked about how that plays into HD and all kinds of stuff. And she was such a wealth of information. But more than anything, she was a positive light when I needed her. In the midst of my darkness, here is this light, this person with HD who's going, you're going to be okay. And it truly made me think it's all about perspective, right? I choose my perspective on this. I choose what my journey's going to be. And it completely reshaped my path. I changed my path because my perspective changed. And I have Laura to thank for that. If we do not find something to help us either slow this down or treat the underlying cause of HD, then we die. There is nothing for us. Yes, I want to live. I want to be here for my kids. I have 2 very young kids, and I want to be here for them. And the only way that I can do that is to be involved and to speak up. I appreciate you learning about me and why I am doing what I do. And I hope that you will continue to join me on this journey. Let's get loud and start being stronger for HD and living with HD. Thanks.